Today we have an amazing webinar, which we're keen on presenting on how to turn website visitors into qualified leads. We are hands-on marketers, so everything that we share is based on our own experience and actual practical results. If you have questions, please feel free to come off mute and just ask or add it in the chat pane. And myself and my colleagues are going to make sure your questions get answered. I am Niculae or Loredana Niculae, and Oana Lefter is a partner also in NNC Services together with me. We have B2B marketing agency, and we implement a lot of tools and technologies, some which are, the biggest vendors, Salesforce, HubSpot, and so on, and some which we needed to bring to the customers and to the world because there were no alternatives out there. Either they were too expensive or they didn't do the right job and so on. So today we're going to show you actually one of those amazing tools that we brought to the world. A bit about the agenda. So we're going to spend just a bit of time to understand how we can implement AI to help small, medium businesses grow. Of course, the big guys are also welcome, but they already have a lot of AI tools and technologies. So I'm sure that they can also implement it, and we have a lot of customers on this enterprise range. But we're also passionate about helping everyone be competitive. And nowadays with AI, that's quite possible. We're going to have a poll on what your biggest challenges with website visitors. And I'm going to ask my colleagues to actually start the poll so that you can answer it before we go to discussing, your biggest challenges. Please, you see a prompt and feel free to add what are your biggest challenges, how you can get more revenues and not miss leads. There's a lot of missed leads that we see with some of our accounts in this range. And of course, what are some real results you can quickly expect? We're going to keep it very practical and hands-on, but then Oana wants to share what generative engine optimization is, because this is a game changer. You can do that right now and get leads. We're actually doing that and getting quite a few leads. And that works really nicely on top of the technology that I'm going to share a bit about. So why do agents matter? Somehow for some people this is obvious, but for others are not. A lot of small, medium-sized businesses often miss the leads. That's because they have limited staffing. Especially as an entrepreneur, I'm sometimes wearing many hats. I'm involved with a lot of startups, and sometimes I have to do the finances. Sometimes I have to do maybe strategic advising or operational overviews or something. And not all the time do I have, to spend on marketing. And what's funny is I actually am involved with a company that needs a lot of marketing. And I found myself, not being able to spend much time on executing. So I needed someone else to do it. With a startup, that's absolutely impossible sometimes because you don't have the budget. Sometimes you don't even have the time to train new people coming on board and so on. So I had to go to AI agents. Some of the pain points that we see are quite obvious. We need to manage multiple channels. Okay, so how do I post? How do I see all my reviews across all of the channels? How do I respond instantly if a customer has an issue? I feel sometimes out of control. So for example, I may not have all the channels integrated, so I don't have all of the data live somewhere. I don't know how my ads are performing. Many more examples like this. And that sometimes for a startup or for a small and medium-sized business is a total lack of control. And they miss a lot of opportunities. And to make it really obvious, I'm going to give you an example. So for example, outside working hours, okay? If you are a service provider, let's say, I don't know, a financial services provider, customers usually call outside working hours, okay? Because people are working during the day. And if they need financial services, they may call upon you in the weekend or after hours or in a break. And this is when your staff has also their break or is outside working hours. So how do you fill that out? From our own poll in here, I can see that there's not enough traffic and visitors. We don't get enough conversions. There's too little staff to follow up with the leads. That's exactly what we said. And we cannot generate enough leads. So that's really interesting as well. And we can talk about that also. But I just quickly wanted to share that, for example, this is one of the customers using AI agents on the web, and this is their feedback from yesterday. So we received this email yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you. And he says that they tested a call with an AI web agent outside the working hours. So someone in their team called outside working hours, and they had an amazing experience. For example, in their case, they converted last month outside working hours 48 AI calls. So people that called outside working hours, they sold 48 policies, insurance policies, averaging about 2.5K. So calculate how much revenue and what a nice revenue that is. And I can continue, but I know that I'm also a bit short on time because I want to give you the voice to ask and experience this. I wanted to share maybe how you can calculate how much revenue you're losing to miss leads. So in here we have ROI calculator, and I'm going to ask my colleague to paste it in the chat window so that you can also experience and calculate your own ROI. But basically 80 hours, 80% of customers don't leave voice messages when they call you. So if someone replies with an actual voice, they will talk. But if someone doesn't, 80% of them will just leave. And we see a lot of Google reviews for businesses where they say, oh, I tried calling these people, but they didn't answer, so I took my business elsewhere or something. Then 25% come in after hours, even in B2B, which is crazy. But even in B2B, if people are really busy, and if you have, let's say, and in B2B, most of us, chase after very busy people that are executives in some enterprise business or something. 25% of those will call after hours, or either really early in the morning or later after hours, because they don't have time during the day. They're caught up in meetings and so on. And at least 1 in 4 leads are lost before they even say hello. Actually, in B2B, Gartner says that sometimes even more than 80% of leads will leave before even leaving a message on your website. So it's critical that you capture this need. How do you capture this information? And of course, this is the topic of the day, and I'd love to address all of the topics, like how do we generate more leads, how do we generate more traffic, and so on, and we will do that. But right now, if you give them enough reason, you can convert 80% of your traffic, right? Because right now, 80% of them will just leave your website. So if you, I hope you got the link to the ROI calculator, and I see that our colleagues have already pasted it here. Now let's talk a bit about the real results that you can expect with AI. And these are two case studies of people that have implemented AI agents on their website. And these are AI lead generation websites, either that reply directly on the website or engage visitors to a conversation, or they answer calls that are placed directly. Okay, so these are the technologies, and I'm going to show you also, we're going to have a demo of how that works. But for example, the first one is, let me see, the first one is the insurance, so brokerage, and no, the first one, sorry, the first one is insurance, yes, and the last one is outsourcing services. So the first one started using the technology in December. You can see a really quick climb all the way to March when it was the peak of the season. And then you can also see, let's say, towards the summer, there's a drop, but right now we're in June. That's why you see the more abrupt, let's say June, it's not, it wasn't yet finished when I captured this information, but I can update you that they had a really good month in June, although it's a summer month and usually the business gets down. And right now in July, we're pretty much at the same level. These are, if you look at last year, much higher conversion rates and much higher impressions and engagements and so on. And this is all from their website. The same is for an outsourcing provider. And for example, you will notice there that they had so many leads, it's unbelievable. So they had 114,000 leads, which is crazy, especially for an outsourcing provider. And this is a small, medium-sized business. Both of them are direct referrals, and we have extensive case studies on how they achieved this, but it's mainly through the AI agents that they implemented. The last one, the software outsourcing, implemented also an AI agent for social media and content generation. And that's what produced so many leads. Just a bit of a side note, the insurance broker has doubled their business beginning of this year just by using this technology. Now let's do a live test, and I know, Oana, that I'm a bit short on time, so I'm going to accelerate on this. But do you still see my screen here?
Yes, you're good.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so this is just a test environment. And for example, we can provide this test possibility to anybody that would like it. But you can, for example, try and test your own AI. This is just a small AI agent. And what's different about this one, unlike, let's say, other maybe web chats or something that you've seen, is that the language is so natural and it replies pretty much with any information that you'd like. For example, in this case, we fed it with NNC information. But let me show you how quickly it is to configure. So basically, we mentioned that the main goal for this agent is to capture lead information and to book events, because for us, for me, for Oana, it's important to book consulting engagements, okay? And I am also mentioning that I'd like it to provide a consulting session with me. And I just prompted very natural. So I use language. You don't need technical skills to set this up, right? So I just say where I'd like to use it. I'd like to use it on our website. I'd like to use it on perhaps other websites that we have. I mentioned what's the primary goal. And then I prompted in a very natural, even not so great grammar as a non-English speaker, but it still will provide a very, very easy flow. And in here, I add information, and it will only reply from the information that I give it. So I can train it on my own data. So I can give it either, some content or a website link or something like that. That's how easy it is to configure. You hit save when you're done. So once you do that, then let me show you how a real life example looks like. So for example, in here, NNC Hub, this is an AI powered assistant, and this one would reply and would convert all the traffic. And you'd be amazed how much we have right now. For example, for some of our clients is the second or the third channel generating leads, because especially after millennials, including millennials, Forrester has research that shows that people don't want to call, they want to interact faster with an AI web agent than to call someone, right? Because it saves me time. Like even when you go and purchase something online, or you don't want to call the people to ask, what's this product, how much time will it take to get here, and so on. You prefer to type in directly something really fast and to get a reply. Okay. And in here, I don't know, do you have working hours, let's say, or what are your working hours? Yes. As you again, my spelling, sorry about that, but as you saw, I have not provided it. So when I prompted it, I didn't mention what are the working hours. You see here, I didn't specify that. So let's see. Sorry, this was my example. Here, there's no specific information about fixed working hours. Okay. Correct, because I did not provide this information. But if I'm going to go here and mention, oh, working hours are, or if I feed it, some knowledge, either it's content or a website where working hours are specified, it's going to reply correctly. Okay. Good, so that's a bit about how this works, and it converts like crazy. We can see, for example, all of the conversations in the centralized inbox. As I mentioned, this is a test environment, so this is the centralized inbox. This was live just today, so I just put this live today for you. But we have customers that convert quite a lot. What's interesting about this inbox, it allows us to do the same AI lead generation agent supports SMS, it supports voice, it supports Meta. So if you have campaigns on Meta, all of the messages will come here. You can reply automatically. So once a lead goes in, the AI will reply automatically to that lead, and you don't need to manually follow up. So if you need to convert it to a sale or something, or if they ask standard questions, etc., etc. So again, this can be all handled automatically. Let me show you how many leads. And for example, you can see here that the voice receptionist only in the last 7 days produced 13 calls. Okay, so this is the AI lead generation agent that replies via the calls. Let's look for a wider range. So let's look at the last 90 days and see. Okay, so the voice receptionist in the last 90 days produced 49 leads. The web chat produced 27 leads. These are leads that the customer did not have before introducing these AI lead generation agents. Okay, not to mention that they have 81 via SMS and so on. So there's 83 via conversations, what I told you, the inbox that converts all of the channels, replies automatically, and so on. This saves huge amount of time and effort. Okay. So I'm going to quickly mention that this is all available for you if you'd like to test it. We'd be happy to set up a call and get you set up to test the platform and to test these AI agents on your own website. We have a customer, Mira Technologies, that just implemented this, and they just shared this testimonial the other day that they're already seeing leads on a B2B deep technology. So you can check their website, their deep technology. So they're not let's say, selling something on e-commerce or nothing easy. So they're still seeing conversions from the website. As I mentioned, it's really easy to set up. You don't need any technical skills. You just need to configure it, and then it's going to fly off. If you want to see again where you're losing leads, you can look at this free report. Again, I'm going to ask my colleagues to share with you this. Please fill out this. So just your first name, last name, and business name. And it's going to provide you with a free report on where are you missing those leads, okay? So let's say maybe you're losing leads on social, or maybe you're losing leads on your website, or you're not advertising, or your listings don't show up really well. So if you want to see where you're losing the leads, please go in here. If you want to see how much revenue you're missing, you have the ROI calculator. And we're here for anything else, any other questions or anything else you'd like to find out. And of course, to provide you with a demo of this AI lead generation agents that can help you generate more leads so that you can see how it works for yourself. Oana, I think you can take it from here, because I think now it's the most innovative part of the presentation.
Now that Lori has told you, how chatbots can engage, can qualify, and convert these leads in real time, it's time to take things a little bit further. Because I'm pretty sure that many of you here have asked this question or have got this question quite recently in a meeting. And the question is, why doesn't our brand name appear in ChatGPT answers? Um, we're entering, guys, a new era in digital marketing, and I'm sure many of you have already seen it into your own habit about searching for information online. I know a lot of people who are no longer using Google, they're just asking ChatGPT, and this is happening quite quickly, much quicker than we would have expected. And make sure that this is happening to your buyers as well. So just like SEO was all about ranking on Google, GEO, which is Generative Engine Optimization, is about being the answer AI tools give when your prospect asks question. And this also kind of relates to what I saw in your answers in the initial poll. You've mentioned the challenges, especially around conversions, right? One of the reasons conversions don't happen on your website right now may be that the traffic you are generating is not qualified enough, and it's not high intent users you are attracting to your website. Now, make sure that traffic that comes from ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, or any future tool powered by LLMs, which is large language models, is of much higher intent, because that answers to a very, very specific need that a customer has. And I'm sure you agree with me, knowing your own habits of searching and asking questions to ChatGPT or other AI engines. Okay, now, if you're anything like me, when you first heard the term GEO, your reaction might have been something like this. So, uh, what is it? We've all been conditioned for years to optimize for search engines. And if you are in marketing, or you know anything about marketing for your company, you know that keywords, backlinks, meta tags, we know the drill. So when something new like geo comes along, it can feel like that strange creature on the ark. But here's the catch. Geo isn't here to replace everything we know. In fact, if you look closer, you'll see the familiar elephant in the room, which is SEO. So SEO principles still matter. And now what matters most is user-first content. So if you are a business that doesn't have the basic SEO, you have to check on that first, and then you will move towards GEO, because it's important to have those bases once you move towards being optimized for AI-powered answers. Now, the real difference is that instead of optimizing for search engines, now we have to optimize for chatbots, assistants, generative tools. And if your content doesn't show up in those answers, you're definitely out of the conversation. So talking about interesting data, Lori has also shared some, but I have some that are mind-blowing, some from the most recent studies actually, that really show how quickly the habits of buyers are changing right now. And we're talking about both B2C as well as B2B buyers. So in cold hard numbers, almost 60% of all Google searches now end without a single click. So that means that more than half of your potential customers are getting their answers without ever landing on your website. So let that sink in. Almost half of all searches now show AI generated overviews. I'm sure the majority of you have already saw that when you are typing anything into Google, you already have those AI generated overviews. Apparently, we're just months away from Google actually rolling out paid ads into those overviews as well. I believe in the US, in some areas, this has already come up. And while we're all trying to drive traffic to our website, to our blogs or landing pages, a platform like ChatGPT is getting close to 5 billion visits per month. So that's not a trend. That's definitely a behavioral shift. So if we want to stay relevant and continue generating leads, we need to adapt and we need to show up where the answers are generated. So not just where the links are listed. So that's the promise and the challenge of generative engine optimization. So let's unpack a bit what this GEO is. And what we're seeing now is the rise of these AI-powered layers sitting between your content and your audience. And this shift is happening across three major pillars. First, we have AI-driven search. So Google and other engines are moving from keyword matching to semantic understanding. They actually rely on AI to determine the intent, to extract those answers, and often even to deliver the results without even requiring a click. Second, we have the LLMs or large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini, and these tools don't just summarize the content there is on your website, they actually reconstruct it based on factual accuracy, based on AI training. So if your content is not structured and optimized for these models, it won't show up. And third, we have these conversational AI interfaces like assistants, tools, and chatbots, like the ones that Loredana mentioned. And these are now key access points for users who want really fast, really natural responses without having to scroll through an entire website. Uh, the overlap of these three is actually where your future customers are spending time. So if you're still optimizing only for traditional SEO, you're already behind. Okay, let's talk a bit about what's the difference. I mean, what's different? What do you have to do on top or different from SEO? Unlike SEO, which is designed to help your content, rank based on some keywords and key phrases, GEO is actually helping AI systems understand, trust, and use your content. So here's how they differ. In terms of SEO, you optimize your pages based on what users type right into the search bars. So a simple thing like software development services or software development providers. Um, in SEO, the structure, the metadata, and backlinks. So let's say the more technical things that SEO managers used to mention help improve this visibility. Now, geo, it's not about keywords. It's really about meaning. So you need to optimize for semantic clarity. So you need to ensure that AI understands your intent, understands the logic, and the facts that you provide. SEO targets ranking on search results. Geo targets inclusion in AI generated answers. SEO relies a lot on backlinks and the keywords density on a landing page, while Geo really focuses on structure, factual accuracy, and really alignment with trusted sources, like Wikipedia or any other, high in value source that's out there on the internet. The SEO assumes a human reader skims your content, while GEO assumes an AI model is interpreting your page to generate, these summaries or responses for the human. So, guys, really in short, GEO is not about helping Google find your content or another search engine. It's about helping AI use your content correctly and recommend it as part of its answers. Um, so a new work and a lot more work to be done by marketing departments. So what exactly does it take to optimize for your content for AI models? And these are the four key pillars of GEO. So first of all, semantic understanding. We usually start by structuring content so that AI can interpret it clearly and interpret its meaning and intent. This means that you have to reduce a lot of the ambiguity and to be frank, a lot of previously SEO optimized content looked a bit ambiguous just because it had to check that number of keyword density. So you have to use very consistent language. You have to organize your content in a way that reflects real user questions and logical flow. That's why if you've already heard about Geo, you may have heard that FAQs are very important. So pages with frequently asked questions are now more important than even before with SEO. The second is factual accuracy and authority. So you have to know that AI models prioritize content that aligns with trusted sources. So if your page contains some outdated or even contradicting information, it really gets filtered out. So make sure that your content is not just accurate, but really verifiable. So it matches with sources, with data and domain authority that AI can also rely on. The third, structured data and knowledge graphs, or let's say the more technical part. Here we're talking about schema markup. Perhaps some of you may have heard of it in the context of SEO. That's actually, a piece of code that needs to be embedded into the website. And now this is a bit different than it was with SEO because now this helps AI see relationships between the topics and improving how well your content is understood and categorized by artificial intelligence, not by a search engine. So SEO developers already know what needs to be changed over there. And the last one, answer engine optimization. This is really about formatting and positioning your content to be used directly in AI answers. So whether that's, a feature snippet, voice assistant response, or AI chat summary, these very concise phrasing question answer formats, this works very well, and clarity above all is very important from now on. But let's see how this can actually help to generate leads. So it's not about the visibility, it's really about the right kind of visibility that AI systems recognize. Um, Doing a GEO, so basically checking on those things I just mentioned, will make your content really more discoverable by agents. That means that you will not be relying solely on traditional rankings. Now, obviously, those are still important because a vast majority of users and buyers are still using search engines as well so far. Enhanced engagement, when your content is really structured and optimized for AI, if it fits naturally into the way that AI generates the response. So obviously that alignment leads to better engagement. Users are more likely to read, to trust, and to interact with content that AI pulls into context. And lead qualification, here's the key. AI models really filter out the noise. So if your content makes it into AI generated answers, it's really because it's relevant, it's trustworthy, and targeted. So the result, as I mentioned in the beginning, you get more qualified traffic. So these aren't just clicks, these are people who've already seen your value before they land on your site. And how do we do this? How do we actually implement it? And it's really not rocket science. The process itself, it's quite similar to what used to be before the SEO process. Now it starts usually with discovery and audit, which is basically a deep analysis of your current website and content from a generative engine optimization point of view. So the goal here is to interpret and to identify the gaps. Things like, what's hard for AI to interpret on your website, what lacks factual clarity, what's missing from the schema or entity alignment. And there are already the classical tools, like SEO Moz or SEMrush are updating with tools that help you do these technical audits. So basically, I know because a lot of customers of ours ask us, is there a way for me to know if ChatGPT is recommending my brand or my company beside actually asking it? And yes, actually asking is it's also a good exercise. But no, the tools that used to do SEO audits before are already updated, and they already can tell you if your brand shows up into AI, generative AI, and also even other things like mention.com or other tools that do brand reputation and brand research have already adapted to cover the engines as well. So this is a good first key start. You have to look at where you are in terms of your geo status out there. By the way, there are some brands and some companies who already rank very well because they already kind of had this flow of a lot of question and answers content on their website, or a lot of authoritative content. The second step is the strategy development. So based on the audit, um, you have to build a GEO roadmap, and this focuses on how to make your content really understandable for LLMs, how to strengthen your factual authority, and how to structure it for inclusion in AI generated results and not just traditional rankings. The first step is optimization. So here you go really hands-on. You have to adjust on-page content, to apply schema markup, to refine your messaging so that AI models can interpret it. And the fourth step is ongoing monitoring and adaptation because, a lot of AI models evolves, and so should your strategy. And this step, you need to monitor how content performs in AI-powered search and conversational responses. So going back to the tools I mentioned at step one, these tools will also help you continuously maintain this visibility and relevance. So obviously, this isn't a one-time fix. GEO is a cycle of improvement, but like I like to mention, because I know a lot of providers and people in the context say that SEO, it's a long-term process. I personally don't like this answer, and I would like to not see it in terms of GEO as well, because this basically shows, a lack of assuming what can be done. So I can guarantee, and we've tested it for several of our customers, that if you do it well, you should see results quite quickly. And when I'm talking about results, I'm talking about leads coming at your business and telling that, hey, I got to you because I had this answer in ChatGPT. And the typical answers are usually things like, what are the best providers of software development in Austria, in this region? So, believe it or not, if you do it right, you should see results quite quickly. So just kind of summing up and pinpointing once again what are some of the most important benefits for your business if you do GEO. Um, Obviously, you have an increased AI visibility and ranking. That means better placement in answers, summaries, so not just the traditional results. An enhanced brand reputation and trust, because AI models prioritize, content that comes from authoritative sources. So when your site is optimized for this, it sends the right trust signals, both to AI systems and to your audience. An improved content relevance and generative engine optimization. Um, this really boosts your fit for AEO and really makes your content more useful in AI-powered Q&A scenarios. And obviously a future-ready digital presence, because like I said, and I'm gonna, close the circle now, guys, we are witnessing a change into the habits of our buyers, whether they are B2B or B2C. So search is really evolving rapidly. I showed you some numbers. You really not need to, catch the train and really make sure that you are future ready. And especially if you're considering things like a new website or tapping into new markets or rebranding, now is the time to actually step on the geo wagon as well. As I said, I don't think SEO will become irrelevant because geo is actually built on top of SEO, so you also need to check the basis for SEO. I believe most of SEO specialists will also provide geo as well, and some have already started providing them. So are we. By the way, I'm going to ask my colleagues to put into the chat window a link for some packages we've just got fresh from the oven. They're quite approachable in terms of pricing, and we are very, very keen on working with and having new projects on Geo, because this is something that we really want to develop. So if you are fresh here from the start, you're definitely benefit from all these discounts and making sure that you have all our attention in the process. Yeah, so I guess this is it on my side. Let me know if there are any questions about Geo.
Um,
Yes.
Oana, there are some questions.
Oh, okay.
Of course, this is a topic that's hot. So, of course, we have questions. What tools would you recommend for the geo analytics? And I can, like, please
Yeah.
answer, but I can also share my thoughts on this.
Yeah, please do, and I will add some more.
Okay. So, first of all, there's no analytics on this. You can see sometimes customers providing you this information. Oh, I've seen, I've gotten your info from ChatGPT, and it happened to us. So it happened that customers called in and they said ChatGPT suggested that they use us. And
Yeah.
why we don't see any analytics is because when ChatGPT searches, they still use Google to search. or when our search, they still use engines to search, so we don't get direct traffic. Sometimes, very rarely, we may catch that, but that's usually based on feedback. It doesn't mean that things won't get smarter, but right now we're still seeing it. So in the data, it rarely shows up. And another thing is, this is quite new. For example, even in terms of AI overviews, Google does not display directly how are they showing that. I've been in many webinars with high-level Google executives, and when I ask directly, how do you do that, or how should we optimize for Joe, they were like, please keep your page clean, please make sure that the information is well structured and everything that Oana just shared before, so that you can properly be displayed in AI overviews. But they did not release anything. There is some information that's available up there already. There is a high-level Wix executive, which showcased a bit of how the AI is learning. I can dig out that YouTube that I found on this, but again, this is mostly not analytical at all. Oana, please.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd like to add a bit of extra information here. So basically, what we've noticed is that some of the traditional SEO tools that are also used for analytics, like, SEMrush or SEO modes, have updated to include data and information from AI agents as well. I know that some of our team members are using things like Perplexity AI, and this is one of the tools that can help you check how your site is cited in AI generated answers. And there are some more, some are, just in testing phase or just being launched, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the, standard things like even schema.dev that was used to validate structured data is being updated to include generative AI as well. So my expectation is that it's going to be pretty much the same tools we've used before to track, visibility and analytics, but updated to include LLMs and results in AI search as well. Okay. I see we have some more questions here.
Yes, we do.
So Lumi, hi Lumi, good to see you. Is the GEO process something that it makes sense for the entire web page, or does it make sense to start it just for dedicated topics? Okay. So great question and a really strategic one. Um, Short answer, yes. You can start with some dedicated topics or campaigns. Not the entire website, and here's why. First of all, because GEO is not really a one size fits all. It really focused on how to help AI models understand and recommend your content. So this works best when you're really focused on a very clear subject, a very clear product, or a campaign. And also, one other reason is that because AI models don't crawl like Google, so they don't index entire websites like search engines. They actually pull very specific answers based on relevance, based on some factual confidence. But obviously, for high impact, you should consider optimizing your entire website, but especially when you have a very complex website, like I know your business has, Lumi, it's a good idea to focus on a high impact use case first. So yes, it's a good idea to start small and then scale it more on the entire website. Okay.
May I add something
Yeah.
here, Oana?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
What we've empirically noticed, because there's a lot maybe of speculation around how this does, but we also have some experience on it, is that prompted a lot of AI language models with your own content, especially with your own marketing content that has a schema and is well SEO optimized, may lead to high recommendations. So it is sort of like everything that Oana said, plus this process of constantly feeding and interrogating let's say the AIs out there like ChatGPT or Gemini or all of that about your business, about your product, until you see that it recommends them. Even asking, sometimes I'm asking, for example, why don't you recommend NNC for this? And it would reply, because in the area of, I don't know, Germany, we noticed you don't have a website in German. So that's why we didn't recommend it. So then I add a plugin that translates our website into German, and then I go back again and I'm like, now, would you recommend NNC? And so it's really like a partner you can use to even train yourself on how to do it. Yeah, please, Oana.
Yeah, thank you for adding up. I see we have quite some questions. I was positive this will stir the room. Let's see, Ahmed, for those using AI to create website content, to what extent they will be not well ranked? Okay, very good question. To the extent that the AI generated content does not check all the boxes I've mentioned before. So that being said, doesn't mean that if you have AI generated content on your website, you will not rank well. But you really need to make sure that the AI generated content checks what GEO needs, which is it has originality or depths. And here we all know that we have to be very cautious with AI-generated content because it can actually contain, this factual errors, these hallucinations. So always double check AI-generated content with a bit of human revision and so on. Because if that content gets on your website, this really damages your chances of being used as a reliable source. If also it lacks experience, expertise, authority, and it's really overly keyword stuffed or SEO-y, how it used to be before. These are some old school tricks in SEO. So, repeating the keywords with absolutely no flow, this doesn't work anymore. And AI models are really especially ignoring it. So as I mentioned, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will rank badly if you have AI-generated content, but make sure that it checks what GAO requires. So that those, semantic structure, question and answer structure, really reliable, fact-checked, and so on.
I think there's a similar question below. So then we go to Stacy's first question, but she's the one that adds, so is Google punishing content generated by AI, assuming job best practices are being used? We know that Google is punishing content generated by AI, but that's mainly because of
Low
throwing
quality.
content,
Yeah.
low quality content out there, not because it was well structured and well thought out and so on. What we have to understand, LLMs in general, they spit out information, the same information to you and to everybody else, unless you feed it like real and train it and even use it just on your data. As I showed you the lead generation agent that only replies on the data you give it. So if I give it only my content, my own writing style, the way I structure things, when it's going and I give it clear frameworks like marketing, content writing frameworks and so on, then the content is probably like the outcome is probably going to be very different from if I ask ChatGPT, write me an article on Joe or something. Okay, so that's why Google is punishing, and they're not just punishing the AI generating content, even people, generated content that's low quality.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
For sure.
Juana, are there Joe differences between ChatGPT and Gemini? Ask
Mm,
Stacy again.
No, because they're quite similar to the way they analyze the content. So they're quite similar. More or less, you have to check on the same things. So, like I said, semantical accuracy, data, trusted sources, and so on. So I don't see there are much differences.
Thanks, Juana. Marcel, welcome. I quoted you earlier on using the AI voice chat. I'm not sure if you heard me. So once you implement Joe, will you be able to see in your website stats if the traffic came from ChatGPT or from Google? How much traffic came from ChatGPT or from Google, and what topics of your website? We've answered briefly this before when I mentioned that ChatGPT still searches on Google. So if
Yeah,
we see traffic, we see it as Google search.
as
But
Google. Yeah.
Juana, please go ahead and answer also this question.
No, that's right. So you currently cannot directly see traffic from ChatGPT or other LLMs in your website analytics. You can see traffic from Google and some AI-related traffic. And I know some of our colleagues, can help you uh, build some snapshots and some reports that can help you sort of intuit some of this traffic, but no specifically to see that it comes from ChatGPT. You cannot do this.
ChatGPT. But
Yeah.
customers would tell you if you ask
Yes.
them, or
Yes.
sometimes even if you don't ask them, they will be excited about the fact that you are recommended by ChatGPT, and they will tell you. So we had that quite a few times.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I'm gonna move to the next question. Is there a tool to check if the content is humanized? And I'm going to again address a bit the and let's say if Google is punishing AI generating content. So yes, there are some tools that say they do that. They're not very accurate. I know right now there's innovation in government, so security AI, which detects much better, but these are tools into the millions of dollars, which we cannot access. I'm part of a company that does research on that. So um, probably this technology will get to us at some point, but not right now. However, you can use tools like AnyWord, which I recommend if you want to write better quality content and so on, that give you a content intelligence, like a score of how your content is going to be perceived usually by people, but right now Germany and all of the others up there, and Google uses Germany. That's why I'm referencing them. They look at this content quality and any word, and there's other tools up there that would give you like content intelligence basically, and they will tell you, you have a low score, try better, or review this or something. It's not very cheap, but it does replace a content writer. So I highly recommend it. If you can spend like about $500 a month, that's totally worth it. So it can replace a copywriter quite well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's a
Welcome.
good insight. And if I can add something else, Uma, especially if you are producing a lot of content or your business produces, content in terms of volume, I would much rather recommend the tools that help making sure that your content is humanized and readable. And there are some, famous tools like Grammarly that has updated and has included some tools that help you make sure that the content is humanized. or at least they mention what you should be looking at in order to make sure that it is humanized. In general, from what I know from our content production team, things like, using personal tone or opinions, what we've seen or what thing to watch for is, or breaking some of those robotic patterns, like varying sentence length and so on, really, really help you do that. And in relation to SEO and GEO, really avoiding the old school keyword stuffing or this over optimization that was being done is key. Is key. And also, sometimes another old school things works as well, asking a human to read it loud. So we've tested it with various pieces of content, and sometimes really reading it loud makes it much clearer if it's humanized or not.
I'm gonna take some questions from the ones that were filled out in the form before
Yep.
before the webinar. So when you registered, when will the B2B Academy be available in Japan? B2B Academy will not be available in Japanese because I haven't learned yet Japanese, or Oana hasn't either, or other lecturers that we have there. However, we're using AI successfully to translate this. So hopefully, if you wanted David in Japanese, happy to share it. The platform, NNC Hub, is available in Japanese. It's available in Dutch, in French, and many more languages. And the assistants, the AI lead generation assistants, are available in these languages as well. So happy to show you how this works. What site operations does your tool require? Ella, are you with us? So someone asked, what site operations does your tool require? I think that the meaning here is what maybe site technologies the tool require.
Hi, I
Hi.
am.
Yes. Hi, Ella.
Hi, that was my question. Probably I misunderstood because I've expected that you will also take the topic of taking leads from the website, not
Yes.
directing people to the website, but also taking much more specified data from the website. That was the question.
It's true. We did that in the first part of this. Were you here when we talked about the AI lead generation agents on the website? If not, we'll send you the recording.
Perfect.
So
perfect. Maybe I was a little bit late.
Yes.
So,
but in terms of technologies, this works with pretty much any technologies. It's true that the standard ones like WordPress and so on work easier, but it can be adapted to integrate with any other website. Thank you for your question. If I have only 5-10 leads per month, usually maximum 50 B2B customers, do I need an AI chatbot to qualify the leads? Ask Laura. First of all, in B2B, this is the one advice we give everyone. Don't just stay in your 50 leads because or 50 customers, because usually that's high risk, so more customers are better. However, you don't need AI chatbot to necessarily qualify the leads, but you may need the AI chatbot to convert your website traffic and to have, let's say, double your leads over a month. So instead of 5 to 10, maybe you have 20 leads next month by having a chatbot on your website. As I shared from our client Mira Technologies, they are very niche B2B technologies. And however, they are converting leads already by implementing this chatbot on their website. So I definitely would encourage you. Plus, it's like the cost right now of these technologies is so low. It's almost like just do it, try it. First of all, it's free to try it. Give it a try. If it doesn't work, we can talk about it. But you'd be amazed, even your customers sometimes go on the website and ask some questions you never thought that they will ask. Even having a tap on that and seeing what kind of conversations they have will give you ideas of what they need, perhaps, or why didn't they ask you directly, or why didn't they call you, and so on. With that, I think we can conclude our session of the day. We're a bit over schedule, so thanks so much for sticking around. Wanted you, Anna, want to add any last thoughts or?
Yeah, well, other than, guys, we are really seeing some major shifts in marketing and in buyers' behaviors in general. So whatever will help you stay on top of the wave and stay in front of the competition, I would say you have to take it on board. So make sure you are early adopters when it comes to, chatbots, geo, and so on. And we are here to help. So thank you again, guys. We'll stay in touch and we'll keep you posted with our next webinars as well.